This is a strategic communication between Feras Naser, the founder of the Cocreation movement, and Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America. This communication is aiming to establish the Cocreation movement as an intergovernmental organization, and it is equivalent to the communication of Einstein or Herzl or even King Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia in the early alliance development with the United States of America. So this communication represents a historic and detailed communication with the United States of America. And why we started to do this communication? Because I think we need to clarify our position on a group of major issues. It can help the United States president to become more inspirational, but also it can help us in establishing the co-creation movement as an intergovernmental organization and having a refuge for young people from all around the world who would like to be engaged in the world of opportunity, who are running away from discrimination, and who are aiming to be the top in their game. This communication is our first communication. And because Gaza is a major issue in our region, I will name this communication the defense industry and Gaza. So let's start. If you want to understand Gaza and the issue of Palestine, I think you need to understand four major issues. The first one is the defense industry. The second one is defense strategy. The third one is human rights and culture. And the fourth one is politics and international law. So let us start with the defense industry. Today, the defense industry is working like a business. They don't mind selling weapon systems to various countries. So the United States have sold weapons that worth hundreds of millions of dollars to UAE, to Qatar, and they are willing to sell more weapons to various countries. Because eventually, in order for the defense industry to stay competitive and to grow, they have to act like a private business and operate in a market condition that allow them to continuously create new solutions or new products or new systems and sell them globally. This is how the defense industry operate. However, at sometimes this contradicts with defense strategy. Can we really sell to a potential enemy? Can we really sell to a suspicious ally? And with that, people started to think about defense policy, to whom we are going to sell weapon systems. Are we allowed to engage the United Arab Emirates in the F-35 program? Can Turkey be part of the F-35 program? And so on. This discussion is a long discussion, but eventually some countries decided to build their own weapon systems, indigenous weapon systems that is manufactured locally. Other countries decided to mix and match, for example, the famous case of the S-400 of Turkey, which caused a serious issue with the United States, or a serious discussion. You can't buy American weapon systems or be part of American weapon development programs and buy Russian weapon systems in the same time. So the defense industry has an interest in selling weapon systems, and in order to sell them, they have to create proxy wars. And this is the issue of Gaza, and this is the issue of Gaza. The issue of Gaza is that Hamas, or the people who live in Gaza, and of course under the management and leadership of Hamas, which can now have global ties, decided to build indigenous weapon systems, those panels, those buildings. So those medium-range missiles, those rocket launchers, and those rifles are produced locally. And with the media propaganda, they decided to make an event to test the weapon systems of Israel and to test the weapon systems of Hamas, imitating the possibility of a proxy war between a country that is creating indigenous weapon systems and a country that is supported by all kinds of weapon systems in the world. It's not only that this has happened in Gaza, but also it has happened in Ukraine, where you have a major superpower fighting another country that is being supplied by all kinds of weapon systems in the world, maybe except aircraft, because the Ukrainian pilots would not be able to operate aircraft, or because they need more time. So proxy wars are used to test various weapon systems and to feed the defense industry. And our position is clear. Gaza now needs a global intervention, and I will talk about this global intervention in details when I talk about our position. And we don't want these proxy wars to happen under the name of the that I would like to talk about is defense strategy. And the United States defense strategy is to contain Russia and China. And to do that, they will try to make proxy wars near China and proxy wars near Russia, seeing the Ukrainian example, and to try to deplete these countries economically. And as a response, Russia and China will try to build a larger economical group such as BRICS, and to try to develop their own solutions. So you see, for example, China is competing strategically in electric cars, in AI, in space. So this competition is well understood, and to have a containment strategy of proxy wars around superpowers and to deplete them economically is a well understood strategy. Now, coming to Gaza, Gaza is not acting on behalf of the Chinese. Gaza is not acting on behalf of the Russians. Gaza is for the Palestinians. And actually, the Russians and the Chinese did not support Gaza much. So, what you really want to think about is an intervention in Gaza. The ones who will do this intervention could be possibly the United States, as Donald Trump has said he would like to own Gaza or buy Gaza or anything of that sort, or NATO. And I think because Turkey is part of NATO, and NATO has done a previous intervention in Serbia, in Kosovo, so I think that's another possibility. The third possibility is a UN humanitarian intervention. So this is about defense strategy and the defense industry. So let us move on and talk about politics and international law. Today, even if you occupied the whole of Palestine, even if Israel actually has checkpoints inside Gaza, but they have a full military control over Gaza, Gaza will always be seen as an occupied territory. You can think of Afghanistan being occupied for 15 years, and you can always think that there is always a legal dilemma: is Palestine occupied or is not occupied? And today, even if Israel occupied the whole territory and they destroy the whole territory, globally and based on the international law, it will still be an occupied territory. Same as the settlement. So there is an international agreement that the settlements inside the West Bank are illegal, that Gaza is occupied, that Palestine is recognized as an occupied state. So this will always make sure that the world will never forget. It's in the documents, it's in the law. So the international humanitarian law and the international law actually supports a two-state solution. Not only that, but Netanyahu has been accused of genocide. So now you have verdicts against the leaders of other countries. So this is how people perceive international law. So even if the Americans occupied Palestine, it will still be an occupied territory, except if they reached a ceiling agreement similar to Alaska or similar to Louisiana or similar to those global land purchases. And I can't remember any of these purchases happening in the modern history. Now, finally, we need to talk about culture and human rights. Today, if you go to the people in the streets, they still have a strong support for Gaza in spite of the terrorist event that has happened, which is truly sad how people develop their popular support. And of course, the people who are responsible for this terrorist attack should be condemned. And this popular support will always be there because it's endorsed by culture. There is a continuous war between the Jewish and the Muslims. This is a historical war and it will always be there. So the culture actually supports conflict and sometimes prevent novel solutions. Even they can alleviate the stress or relieve people for a certain period in history. So there will always be popular support among the grassroots population. Now, I just want to come to a conclusion on this. Our position in the co-creation movement is clear. Gaza needs a global intervention for reconstruction and for establishing security management. We, the Palestinians or the people of Palestine, are not interested in proxy wars being carried out on our land. The international law endorses our rights to live a life of dignity and prosperity. The same way a country in Latin America would live, or Africa, think Peru or Sierra Leone, or even Lithuania. We need to live the life of dignity and prosperity, not based on being more superior from a military point of view than our neighbor, but just based on international law and based on the desire to coexist and to create and to be prosperous. That global intervention, there are three possibilities for this global intervention. The United States of America, which could be seen as an occupying force. The other option is NATO, and could be establishing an agreement that is not seen as an occupation, a protection agreement, or some kind of this legal agreement. And finally, the last part is the United Nations, and this would be the safest legal option, but maybe from a military perspective, it can't happen. Finally, I think if this solution did not happen, the one-state solution is also there, having the Palestinian people living in their historical lands with the Jewish people on the land of Palestine and having equal rights. This was our first communication, and we will be following with other communication that explain our position on various issues.